Hi there, I'm Ian. I'm one of the directors at TimeFiler. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I'm just going to give you a very short introduction to how TimeFiler uses smart automation to make sure that the data that we get to payroll is absolutely correct. And that's key because the most important thing of any payroll system is that we pay staff correctly and that we cost their time correctly and that we provide good information to the business so it can then do reporting. And customers want to use AI to analyze data, but we need to prepare it accurately first, and that's TimeFiler's job. So we're going to log in as an employee and just see an example of what they might do as a timesheet and how TimeFiler makes sure that they get it right. And most timesheet systems are just a pretty basic form that doesn't really have any smarts behind it. But what TimeFiler does is while people fill a form in, whether it be a timesheet or a leave request or a roster, it actively helps them to get it right. So here we've logged in as Elizabeth. Elizabeth is an employee and her timesheet is pre-filled in this example with what she normally does, 8 till 4:30 on different jobs. And you'll see here that she's put some hours in on the Tuesday. She said, I finished at 6 p.m. And straight away it is showing a yellow highlight, and this is configured per group of employees, right? So we make this work to suit your requirements and to suit the different groups of employees that you have in the business. But here we're saying we only want to pay overtime if it's approved by a manager in advance. And Elizabeth can see whether the box has been ticked, but she can't tick it herself. And if she puts in, for example, that she did a call out on Saturday, she might say she worked from 8 until, I don't know, say 9:30 on Saturday morning. As she does that, the system is responding in real time. This example system says, I want you to tell me the job that you worked on. And here I'm going to say, well, it was a call out and I worked on this job here. And you'll see that as she does that, now it says, well, because it's a call out, can you explain what you were doing? Or explain why? Fixing poll. And as soon as she does that, that red warning disappears. And on top of us showing these warnings to make sure she gets it right, the smart automation in TimeFiler is showing her exactly what payments she is going to get for the work that she's done. So she can see down here the payments. This is an Australian example, but it works the same across New Zealand and Australia. So here she can see she's getting ordinary, she's getting some overtime, some allowances. We can summarize this so that for the entire pay, she can see that she's got her normal hours for the week and so forth. And further, the smart automation is figuring out who it needs to get approval from for this particular timesheet. And of course, we're keeping a track record down the bottom of what's happening. And Elizabeth can do all of this through the mobile app as well. And this is the difference too between TimeFiler and other systems, is that often a mobile app is just a cut down version of what people can do through the web browser. But in TimeFiler, it's a fully functional application. So when I go into, I'll just move the screen here so you can see this form. This is Elizabeth now looking at her same timesheet, but through the mobile app instead. So she taps on timesheets. The smart automation means that she only sees timesheets that are relevant at the moment. So in this case, we can see maybe it might be last week and I'm starting the current week. So she's polishing off last week's timesheet. You tap on this. The form is designed to show what's relevant to Elizabeth. And you can have a completely different layouts to suit different employees. So casuals see one type of layout. Permanent staff members in one part of the country see another type of layout. People who work under different sets of terms and conditions see something completely different. And there's that yellow warning on the Tuesday. So you can see it hasn't yet been approved by a manager. And maybe she wants to come in here and say she did some work on the Sunday as well. And all that same automation we were talking about before applies in here too. And maybe she worked at 11 p.m. She types in 11, taps on p.m. Finishes the next morning at say 1 o'clock in the morning. And you'll note the warning's coming up straight away to say it needs to know other information. And this is where we configure it to suit your requirements. Here we want to know what job she worked on. So she picks from a list of jobs. The smart automation means that this list of jobs can be filtered too. So we just pick the one that's relevant. And maybe she wants to claim living away from home and she wants to claim higher duties. Now here what it's doing is it's checking to say, actually, you can't claim those two allowances on this particular job. And the point is we get to fix this stuff before it even gets to the manager. And then to the manager, we highlight stuff for them to approve. And in the background, let's go now as a manager. Oh, we'll just submit her timesheet. So she's now submitted her timesheet for approval. She can see that it's gone orange to denote that it's been submitted. She can see who it's been submitted to for approval. And we'll now log in as a manager. When we go in as a manager, what the manager sees is this. Now notice that Luke is the manager of customer operations, but because because Elizabeth has put some hours against the job that he's the manager of, he sees her on the list as well. And he sees the same yellow warning on the Tuesday to denote that overtime's been incurred. He sees a similar warning on the Sunday, and he can look at the complete timesheet down below, and he can go, yep, that looks fine. The smart automation means that as soon as he ticks the box, the yellow warning disappears. The award interpretation down the bottom shows the payments that now apply to this employee, and he can approve it. And further, you'll note now that it only goes to partially approved. And that's because this timesheet needs approval from somebody else too, right? She's worked across more than one job. Notice here that we can show fatigue warnings to the manager that we're not showing to the employee. So it highlights here to let us know that this employee has breached some fatigue guidelines that we want to keep track of. So TimeFiler's job is to make sure that we capture the right information from employees, we highlight the right warnings to managers so that the data passed to payroll is correct, and the data passed to your ERP and other systems for reporting purposes is correct. That means that when we apply tools like AI to analyze data, it's working with good quality data. It makes it much easier for you to be confident that when you report on, for example, is there any relationship between consistent sick leave that people are taking versus the overtime that's being worked? Or are there differences between groups and employees? That all works, but only because we've put so much effort into making sure that the data we collect is correct. And that's how smart automation works in TimeFiler to give you the best data to work with possible. Thanks.